to our first Get Acquainted live. We have our guest here. I'll let her introduce herself and her company.
Yeah, hey Ronnie, thank you for inviting me on your first podcast. I'm very honored to be the very first guest. So I'm Ingrid. I am the founder of Tastey Threads. It is a brand that is focused on food inspired fashion. So it's not your typical clip art designs, but it's literally I photograph a food subject matter and I give it a creative twist. And I like to think that my designs are geared more towards food lovers, those creative spirits and adventurers.
Well, welcome. Thank you for joining with us today. So, you've been on multiple podcasts as a guest. What brought you to using podcast guesting as a marketing tool for your business?
Well, it's a great way when you're starting off and you're limited on funds. You don't have all the funds for ads and things like that. It's just a great way to get some exposure, borrow other people's audience. So you never know, the right person might be listening, and that's just a great opportunity that might come out of it that you never expected. But it's just a good way to get your brand out there and start to learn how to convey what your brand is all about.
How do you identify what podcasts are actually worth your time?
Well, normally the person who's the podcaster will say what type of guests they're looking for. You know, they can say women led founders, businesses, or just anyone who has a business, any startups. I wouldn't go on someone who's looking for an author because I'm not an author, but anyone who's looking for a business guest.
And what's your process for finding those shows to get booked?
Just sign up to every Facebook page out there that says we need a guest, and just raise your hand whenever the right person says I need someone. And most of the time they'll reach out to you, they'll DM you, and you'll meet with them before the actual interview, just sort of a warm up, an icebreaker. And sometimes they'll say, do you want me to send you the questions or do you want to freestyle? I usually freestyle. It does, if they want to send me the question, that's fine. But I just kind of like to shoot from the hip. Maybe I shouldn't, but that's just like the way I like to do things. Organically, just be organic about it.
So, what have you learned from being an effective podcast guest after appearing on multiple shows?
Well, I don't know if I can say effective because it does take a bit for you to refine your what your brand mission is about and introduce yourself. And usually when you start out, you tell your origin story, and sometimes you kind of got to rein it in and sometimes but you kind of figure that out after the fact and you say, oh man, I kind of just bored everybody to death. But usually, the good thing is that the podcaster will gear the conversation, and they'll have follow-ups, or you'll have a follow-up, or maybe in the middle of you answering a question, another thought comes up, and you just kind of finish it off with that afterthought. So it's just a matter of getting used to the environment, the new medium. It's not the same as being in front of someone in person, but it's becoming like that after a while.
How do you maximize the value that you're getting out of the time spent as a guest?
I think it's half and half. Usually, if the podcaster knows you're a startup, they'll focus a lot on your business, what it's about, and then it's your responsibility to maximize that, right? You just don't say, I started last month, but you really kind of want to say why you started, how you started, what motivated you to start, and you just never know how many people are going to relate to that.
So, once you get the podcast back, and what are you using the podcast on for your marketing?
So usually you do shorts, if something I feel like, oh, I kind of really said that well. and I might not get a chance to say it again. I'll just make sure I capture that and upload it to social media. But usually I really use it as a platform to springboard my finesse, my speaking, try to get my brand messaging out there without using too many ums and hums. And I think eventually that's where you want to get at. You know, you just want to be able to say what your company's about with your eyes closed, almost on being on autopilot, basically.
So you mentioned other people's audience. Can you explain a little bit more about that technique of using other people's audience?
Yeah, so far I've gotten, like, for instance, two of my podcasts have been on a chef podcast. And so I know her audience are, they're foodies, they like to cook. And being that my brand is focused on food designs, I know that that's an audience that I can hopefully tap into. They'll be curious, they'll head over to, my store, will find something that they like and purchase it. And that's just really the aim of, making sure that you convey what your brand does in a way that it'll resonate with someone wanting to go and take a look at your store.
And I know that you mentioned you recently started your own podcast. So why
Yes.
did you want to dive into podcasting yourself?
Because I felt that my brand is really about, being creative, also enjoying food. Felt that I couldn't really put that into or convey that into, social media assets like images or 30-second reel. And so I just wanted to start a podcast so that I can highlight a special food memory, and in the process weave what Tasty Threads is all about as well.
And so how do our members find you?
Well, they can, if they are, you know, a food lover and have a special food memory and would like to come on the podcast and share that, they can reach out to me at hello there at tastythreads.com. If they're interested or curious about what the designs that I do, you can go to the website at tastythreads.com.
And I also know that you do collaborations. Can you
Yes,
tell us
yes.
a little bit more about some of the upcoming collaborations that you have?
Well, I partner with a local bakery owner, and I'm using one of her products, and I am in the process of finishing a design. And the hope with that is that we can, in the end, when it's finalized and I'm able to show her some finished products like t-shirts and other things like that, that she can be just as excited about the end result as I am, share it with her audience, and her audience, being that they support her, it would also support me via her. And so that's the goal. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. So you're also looking for anyone who would be willing to collaborate with you?
Yeah, if someone has a restaurant, a bakery shop, or pizza shop, or burger shop, there's definitely a design that I have in mind for each one of those food categories. So please feel free to reach out and we can start, cooking together.
Wonderful. Well, Ingrid, I appreciate you being our first guest here on Get Acquainted Live and wish you much success in your future with Tasty Threads.
Thank you. Appreciate it so much. And also with your podcast as well.
Well, thank you. You have a great evening.
Thanks. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.